Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wealthy Sailor. I am John, and this is pretty much the channel if you want to talk about, money or finance or budgeting. I love budgeting personally. Or if you want to talk about investing, business, whatever. I talk about whatever's interesting me that day, and today I want to talk to you about consumer debt. So, I recently read an article about consumer debt. It basically said that the average American household, is $6,000 in credit card debt. Now, for the purposes of this conversation, I'm referring to credit card debt and line of credits because they all charge a similar interest rate, but more specifically than that, because they generally all go for the same thing: consumer spending. Now, if you back up the United States and the economy, consumerism, the idea of having disposable income to buy things we want more than what we need, is actually a very interesting concept, and it's actually been pretty good for the economy. I mean, if you think about consumer spending, is why restaurants exist, which then employ most of the service industry, which is the single largest industry in the United States right now. Consumerism has also brought what we previously thought as a third world country into pretty much a first world country. Quick side note: a first world country is the United States and NATO allies. A second world country is the USSR and the USSR allies. So that's like Belarus and the countries actually involved in the USSR, Cuba, stuff like that. Third world country is everybody else. A third world country is not a poor country by definition. Yes, they can be, because a lot of really poor countries stayed neutral during the Cold War, which is where the definition of the words came from. But when you say something's a third world country, you're probably using it incorrectly, because it is not a poor, decrepit, rundown country. Okay, so now that I'm done ranting about that, I'm sorry I went off a little bit there, but I'm tired of people using that term incorrectly. So we're going to continue on. So American consumerism and world consumerism really has brought a lot of countries that weren't so much into manufacturing jobs, as the United States has then moved into aerospace, pharmaceuticals, and technology. We no longer want to do manufacturing. It's just not where our economy's set up anymore. So now other countries are doing manufacturing, and that's because of the rise of consumerism. And consumerism also does the other thing where it keeps money moving. I'm not sure if anybody knows this theory or not. I'm not even sure how true it is. It's just a theory I read, that money is bad when it's stationary. Like, if you have $1 and you keep it in your wallet, that's bad for the economy. What you want is that dollar spent, and then going from one place to another, to another, to another, to another, until you get your paycheck and it goes back in your wallet. But the idea is to get everything moving again. And in today's economy, things are super mobile. And part of that is because of consumerism, where, you might get money that you just got paid and then immediately spend it. Now, that's good when you're talking about big picture economics. It's very bad on a micro level. Which brings us back to the total amount of consumer debt that the average American has, and it's $6,000 something. The thing is that I have a problem with that, because my main thing about this channel, is to live below your means, save, track, and budget. The thing is that what that information is telling me, is that most people aren't doing that. They are spending their money on whatever they want. They want a new computer, no problem. I have a credit card with a credit limit. And then to make it worse, most people aren't actually paying it off after they spend on it. It's not like, well, we're going to go on this vacation, then spend the next year paying down our credit card. They end up making, we'll say, minimal to low payments on that credit card. But the credit card never goes back down to zero, or at least it takes a long time to get back to zero. Now, Americans having easy access to credit is a good thing in a lot of cases. I think the failure here is the fact that people aren't educated enough to realize how long it takes to get stuff paid off, or they're not realizing what the interest rate will cost them. You having $2,000 on a credit card, making minimum payments, could take 4 or 5 years to pay off, and you end up paying on that $2,000, you might end up paying $8,000 or $9,000. That's a huge amount of money, and that's a lot of profits. Now, I don't know if you guys see any of my other videos, but I was talking about, like, I invest in Visa, I invest in MasterCard, I invest in JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo. Like, I like investing in financial institutions because it's steady and they're always making profits. the reason they're always making profits, or at least one of the reasons they're always making profits, is because people keep using those cards. So if there's one takeaway from this video, it's that I really think people need to start saving and investing more. But the main thing is budget. Very rarely is an expense a surprise. For example, people say, oh, well, my engine blew on my car. It was such a surprise. It's like, okay, but your car was 6 years old. So you probably should have been saving for something like, an engine, a transmission, something's going to go wrong with your car. Like, I do not run into that many surprise financial problems. The reason being is because I know that, I have a house, right? I know the roof is going to need to get replaced within the next 5 years. I know I have to get my house repainted year after next. Like, these are like standard things that you should plan for. Now, if you budget, you can actually make a list of all these things. You can actually go online and just look up what are the normal emergency expenses. And it's always something to do with a car, something to do with a house, or somebody has to move. And the thing is that if you have an emergency account, not even set aside for one specific thing, but you have an emergency account, then you have the money there. You don't need to go into credit cards for that. But that's kind of aside, because emergency spending on a credit card, I don't want to say it's okay, but okay, that's not really what the consumer debt's about. The consumer debt is about things and stuff. It's about TVs, computers, phones, clothes, food. My fiance and I like to watch this show that was syndicated on the YouTube. It's called Till Debt Does Us Part. And it's really interesting because all it is this woman going in and helping families budget and stuff like that. And you get to see how much debt they're in. And some of these families are in hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. They have 18 credit cards. That's not an exaggeration. One family actually had 18 credit cards. And it's really interesting because besides the bad financial position you're putting yourself in, I want to point out that money is like still the number 1 or 2 reason why people break up. It's also a large reason why people commit suicide. The thing is that in a consumer-based economy that we have right now, where people need things because people aren't self-sufficient. You're buying your food, you're buying clothes. You could grow your own food in your yard, I suppose, if you have a farm. You can homestead, like you can do all that, but most people do not. So in society, we need a medium of exchange for those goods and services that we are not producing locally. And by locally, I mean like ourselves. We need to get shoes. We need to get food. We can grow some food, fine, but we need to be able to exchange stuff. And bartering, although I hear it's actually still a system being used in certain parts of the country, it's not, for me anyway, a convenient way of doing it. Plus, it's hard to appreciate assets. I mean, like, I guess if you grow fruit or you grow vegetables in your backyard, you can't really appreciate them. I mean, if you hold on to them for a rainy day, they're going to go bad, I think, in most cases. So you need to get, trade for something else. So I like the money-driven consumerism and how it makes my life easier, because I don't need to know how to build a Android phone. Yeah, I have a Galaxy. I don't have a iPhone because, I'm not paying those prices for that, so I have a Galaxy. But I don't need to know how to make a phone. I don't need to know how the cellular network works or how 5G works or anything like that. I can just pay the bill for that. I can become an expert in my current job, which I am. And that gives me the freedom to do other things and what I want. So in a society where consumerism is a thing, we just have to simply become smarter consumers. We have to understand that there's a difference between a want and a need, and make sure that we are doing things accordingly so that we don't dig ourselves into a hole that could take a couple days to dig, but years to dig out of. So my final thought on this is I'm just going to give you some advice based on what I do. I do a lot of Amazon shopping. Most of our house is decorated in Amazon stuff, and then when I'm deployed, most of the stuff I enjoy when I'm deployed is all stuff I shipped up from Amazon. So here's what I do. I find something I want, and I move it to my shopping cart on Amazon, and then I will not purchase it for 30 days. The reason I do that is because, one, sometimes if you're looking at stuff on Amazon, you're like, oh, that's really cool, I want it right now. But you don't really do the fair research into it, like reading the reviews and stuff like that. If some people do, that's great on you, but I don't do that. The other thing is that sometimes you don't actually need or anything. Sometimes you're just bored. And Amazon's a very easy website to go onto when you're bored. So that's another problem. So I try to avoid any type of impulsive purchases, and that helps. Also, if I do want that, another reason I wait a month is so I can budget it. So I'm like, oh, like for example, my fiance and I just need to get new dishware for our house. So we picked it out about a month ago, and I got the price for it. It was like $100, but we didn't have $100 in our budget for home decor. So I made a budget for it for the next month. Once I got paid for next month, great, spend it, done deal. Don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm not saying that system works for everybody. I know it can sound kind of extreme, but for me, who's trying to achieve my financial goals, it works. So if you want to get on the level I am, it's probably not the worst advice. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope this brought you joy, because this is actually really fun and at the same time super depressing to look up, because I got to see how bad some people are off. It's kind of sad. I think more financial education is a very important thing that we need to introduce in this country, but what do I know? I'm just a guy on YouTube. Anyway, give me a thumbs up or subscribe. I really want to get more subscribers so I can grow the channel. I think likes do that too, so give me some thumbs up for that. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and keep saving.